So, you want to be a cosplayer? Awesome episode here for you. Today we're talking about Armour cosplays, which for a lot of people and a lot of foam crafters is their primary way of cosplaying. Now I myself, as you can see here, and if you know my work at all, is Armour cosplaying. That's basically all I do. So this was a really good one. It was a very awesome back-to-back with CJ Prop Studio, a great friend of mine, and again, especially when it comes to the Armour cosplaying stuff, iron sharpens iron. I learned a lot in this episode, and I hope you do as well. So let's jump right into it. I have a problem with starting my interviews a little too early, and so I'm sorry there's going to be an audio cutoff. So I'm just going to say it right now. Welcome to another episode of So You Want to Be a Cosplayer, and hopefully my editing is good enough that it just kind of goes from there. So here we go. Today we're talking all about Armour, specifically when it comes to foam crafting. Armour tends to be one of the main things that foam crafting is used to do. Same thing with 3D printing, which is why we're going to talk about both of them today. But before we get too far into it, please welcome CJ Prop Studio. Josh, welcome to So You Want to Be a Cosplayer. Thanks for popping in, brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. Yeah, when you sent me the message saying, "Hey, would you like to be on it?" Hell yeah, definitely.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. No, this is great. I found your content in particular, and when we've talked, you have a very, very good way of explaining what you do and how you do it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Armour in particular can get very complicated, I think, because there's a lot of different ways to do it. There's a lot of very unique ways and styles and touches that we all have when it comes to armor making and what we see is important. But before we jump into that, because obviously that's very important, that's why people are kind of tuning in. I want to start off with a question. Actually, let's talk about more about you. Can you just tell us kind of, very briefly how you got into cosplay, what you do within the cosplay sphere, kind of where's your little corner, your little niche that you've set up shop within the cosplay community?
Yeah. Well, I started cosplaying within back in 2009. After watching the first Iron Man movie. I think that's kind of the stepping stone how people get into it after watching that. But yeah, after I saw the Mark III, I'm like, fully painted. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I want one. And of course, back then we don't know, so I just randomly went on my computer saying like, oh, well, where can I get an Iron Man suit? And an article popped up, and it was an article. Well, this article is probably buried dead in the internet by now, but this is an article of a guy who made his homemade replica of the Mark III, and it looked perfect from the movies especially back then. And I was like, if that guy can do it, I can do it too. And that's kind of how it started to jump into it. So then after that, a couple of years after that, I just did some book work, and then 2013 came around. That's when I started to get my feet wet. Just start to experiment with different materials, with plays. I started with Pepakura, just the paper crafts and paper mache. I did my first helmet, which was a Daft Punk helmet, the silver one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was a big Daft head back then. And I was like, I want that, but I'm like, I'll try.
Yeah.
It was messy as hell.
Of course.
And also, I didn't know how to tint visors back then or how to make them. So what I did was we had one of those big cheese puff containers.
Yeah.
I in the middle ridge is smooth, so I cut that part out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know how to tint it, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna thin out some black acrylic and say, screw it, let's try it out. And I went to New York Comic Con for the first time in 2013. I brought that there, and I was basically just walking around with a blindfold on.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
no.
I'm like, you know what? At the time, I was happy with it. It was an achievement for me. But looking back at it now to what I do now, it's like, oh my god, But yeah, like I focus primarily on armor making
Yep.
since then, because also in 2017 is when I first started making my own um, armor, which was 2017. I did Shredder for the first time. That's what got
Okay.
me into armor. And
Something happened in 2017 and 2018 because me and Trisrex started in 2018, and you
yeah,
started 20. So something there, and I've talked to a few people. Apparently, 6 years ago, the universe shook a little bit, and
yeah,
a few of us kind of came loose. I
like the
think, which is
stars
cool.
aligned a little bit.
Yeah,
Only
yeah.
a handful of us. But yeah, in 2017, I made my very first armor, which was Shredder.
And a very cool Shredder, very very cool Shredder.
Thank you. For the 2001 animated series,
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I just kept going until what I do today. Now, like back then, I just did EVA foam, and now I do mixed media with printing foam. 2 years ago, I worked with silicone for the first time, so knowledge keeps growing. So
yeah, and electronics, which has always been
yeah.
something that I've been definitely kind of jealous in a very in like a encouraging way, if that makes sense. Like adding like all of the lights. Savitar is a perfect example of that. All your LEDs you've got, and he's just glowing. The smoke for Atrocitus was fantastic. The multimedia bit is really really cool, and it's always been the next step for me. And so seeing someone and knowing someone, being like on a talking basis with someone who does that, it's really cool to have that connection. So again, guys, we've said it before with multiple guests. If you're following someone on Instagram and you want to know something, just message them. A lot of times they're willing to talk and they're willing to share. A lot of times they're actually excited to share too. We all like to show off a little bit. So no, that's cool. No, thank you very much. And the Iron Man is a perfect example of that. A lot of people, it's usually a superhero, I find, for armor making in particular.
Yeah. Like for me, it's the complete opposite for some reason. Like I got Iron Man, the superhero, got me into it.
Yeah.
But after I got into armor building, I basically just built nothing but villains. I think I only built like one superhero, or technically two. But overall, all of the majority of them were all villains.
Yeah.
And I just find it funny because, in my opinion, the villains have the better looking suits.
It's true. It's like the whole Decepticon thing, like why do the Decepticons get all the cool stuff? Like you get the Volkswagen Beetle or a tank or an F-16, the Decepticons always get the cool stuff.
Yeah, or semi-truck and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's cool. Well, okay, now that we've known, we gotten to know a little bit about you guys. And as well, guys, you're going to see right up there, you can see Josh's Instagram handle. Absolutely go, grab a follow. He's definitely worth following. You're also very active at cons as well, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, I don't attend as many cons as I used to back then when I really started going to con. Well, I started going to cons in 2013, but I really got like going into multiple cons in 2018, because from 2013 to 2017, I only went to one con only, which was the Comic-Con for one day. But because I didn't really know much about the con community, and I only thought that was the only one. I didn't know there was more until I went on Google one day at the end of 2017. I'm like, oh wow, there's actually more than one con. I'm gonna try them out.
Yeah.
But after that, like I went to, after like when I first started going to multiple ones, I went to like 8 to 10 like after that, like a year. And then I'm like, okay, COVID happened, dial it down a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, and now I go to at least maybe 3 to 5 a year now, which is still a good amount considering. But I also take on commissions as well, so that takes majority of my time compared to going to cons. But cons, like I'm always, when I'm at cons, I'm highly active there. I do, when I cosplay. I'm very like, if you see me, just come straight to me, say hi, take a picture. I'm also a hugger if I'm not in cosplay, so feel free for a hug. But yeah, like cons, are a very good outlet, especially for cosplayers. And also my team that I'm a part of called Paladins of Cosplay.
Yeah. Bring them up.
Yeah, at New York Comic Con, we are the exclusive cosplay repair team for that con. And same thing for Animate NYC. So we handle the repair booth there. They invite us out there for the whole weekend. We repair all weekend, and yeah, it's a good time.
Plus, just honestly, like a great community. The Paladins of Cosplay, I've watched kind of from the outside, and you guys are legit. So I appreciate it. So yeah, again, guys, if you heard that, commissionable, just keep that in mind. Once you see his Instagram, you're gonna want something. So definitely hit up Josh here. So Josh, let's jump into the questions here, and we're going to start very general, and we're going to try and get a little narrower, which is kind of the pattern of what we got going on for these interviews. I'm going to start off with, to you, what is cosplay to you? You can go as broad or as shallow as possible, but everyone has a different answer, and I think it's worth hearing everyone's different perspective on it. So for you, what is cosplay?
Yeah, so cosplay to me is just a outlet that you can be creative and express your creativity. Cosplay, you can basically become whatever character you want. Doesn't matter who you are, what you are. But as long as you have a fandom, you enjoy it, you want to be like embody it, you can go for it. And also, like, when people cosplay, there's people that buy it, there's people that make it on their own, like how like we do. It doesn't matter, but as long as you're enjoying it, and just be creative with it and make it your own, that's all it is.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. People who are watching, there's a few episodes on this series in the beginning where I talk about the cosplay community as a whole, and then also the different kinds of cosplayers. Me and Josh are what we consider foam smiths or foam crafters. It's just one genre, and typically we all blend. There's no like hard rules on what kind of cosplay, but we definitely align the most, I would say, with foam crafting, which is where. Yes, we're going to talk about armor making, and you've already talked about Iron Man suits, and Iron Man suits that are 3D printed now are really, really big, and they look fantastic. But foam crafting in particular is kind of where we sit. So, what is cosplay? Fantastic answer. Obviously, there's no wrong answer in this, which is cool. What is your favorite part about cosplaying or being a cosplayer?
My favorite part about it is basically like the kids. You get to like dress up as their favorite character. It's almost like especially like going back to the con thing. It's basically Disneyland for nerds.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
and the nerds that grow up, they bring their kids, and the kids get to see their favorite characters live, like in Disney, without paying all that big name price.
Yeah,
yeah. So like it's the kids. I tend to see them enjoy it once they see it, and also adults like us, they become kids again. And yeah, like that, and also the creativity. I can build and be who I want to be and feel badass about it.
Oh yeah, feeling badass is 100% a part of the experience.
Oh yeah, and also I don't have to show my face majority of the time, so I can have any expression I want.
Oh, absolutely. I that is something I had to deal with because recently I did a Viking cosplay, and I wasn't wearing a helmet.
Okay.
And I was like, I didn't know what to do with my face because normally I can have like the resting pissed off face. Because I've got a helmet on, especially say like Goblin who's got an expression. I kind of just have to harden my eyes because you can see it through the lenses. But otherwise, I can kind of do whatever I want. And that's definitely that anonymity is a part that I've really enjoyed with armor cosplaying in particular. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh yeah, like it's literally like it's the hard truth, especially like the cosplays that I've done that I don't really have much of a helmet, or if it's a helmet, it's partial. Like Atrocious, for example, I'm wearing a silicone mask.
Yeah.
And so you can see my face, but it's not my face, but you can still see my eyes, my mouth. you can see my emotions. So and the process is pissed off all the time. So I have to make myself seem pissed off and show my teeth and whatever.
Yeah.
Because I actually wear a pair of fake teeth to make them look sharp, like monster teeth.
Yeah.
That skull air lenses, everything. It's a pain in the ass to wear. And also back then with Shredder, he has the muzzle on, he has the head, the actual helmet, but you can see his eyes.
Yeah.
And to me, when people have a costume, a helmet that you still see their eyes, I call it the Tom Hardy era.
Yeah.
Because with Bane, he's nothing but eyes.
Nothing but eyes. Yeah.
It's like you have to like basically mimic Tom Hardy's expression when he did Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, and just do that.
Yep.
And that's it. That's actually how I met a couple of my friends that I'm very good friends with today. They're like, yeah, I saw a Shredder in 2017, but he really looked pissed. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. I guess I'm considered the Tom Hardy of cosplay, apparently.
That's fantastic. No, I love that. Okay, so we already answered kind of how you started with building armor. And so you talked about Pepakura, and that's something I actually haven't brought up before. Could you kind of explain what Pepakura is? Because I have a very loose definition of what it is, but I've actually never used it. So I feel like someone who's actually used it should probably define it for people.
Yeah, no worries. Pepakura, I've used it when I first started cosplaying. I'm basically a pro at this point. Like, some of my friends are like, oh, I don't know how to use it. They're like, go to Josh. He's a professional at it. He'll give you pointers. But yeah, Pepakura is a software that you can take a 3D model and it'll break it down into pieces that you can translate onto. You can print it out, cut it out, and translate it to foam or trace it onto foam, and then put together, and you have that three-dimensional object in your hands. It basically is a shortcut of pattern making. I look at it because, like, if you can get a low polygon model, and if you guys out there that don't know what that is, basically imagine a 3D model, like a very high detailed one, but very blocky. Taking that blocky 3D model, putting it into Pepakura, and you're unfolding it to make it flat, and it goes into pieces. Print it, put it together, you have it in your hands. It is tricky when you first do it, when you use it, but once you start, like anything in life, once you start using it and just keep going with it, you learn and get used to it, and then you gain more knowledge. So
yeah, no, that's a great definition, especially the unfolding bit, because it appears, if I remember correctly, there's two screens, and one of them is the 3D version, and the other one is like you're flattened out on however many pages it's going to take.
Yes.
It's a fantastic. I know a lot of people used it to originally to make patterns, so they would make it the paper version, and then they would cut out the larger chunks, because it usually like slices things very, very finely to get all the round edges and stuff like that, say for a Batman cowl. And it depends on the pattern, of course. And then they could then take larger chunks and just go, okay, well, I'll just stretch the foam and do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, I haven't actually heard people talk about Pepakura in forever, so I'm kind of happy that you still have that skill set.
Yeah, like once you use it for a good amount of years, you never forget it. It's like a sixth sense.
It's some sort of like muscle memory type deal.
Basically, but I don't really use Pepakura as much anymore. Like, if I use it, that's if I really need to get like a pattern done from a 3D model. But when it comes to like scaling and printing those patterns, I use a program called Armour Smith.
Armour Smith, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, hey, I will. I'll get you to send me the link for that, and then I'll have that down in the YouTube description, guys. If you wanted to check that out, because that sounds really cool and obviously very relevant to what we're talking about. When you're approaching an armor build, and you don't have to talk about your any new projects. I know that you just finished Savitar, and I know that you've got some upgrades going for him at the moment. I've already said, congratulations on it. Every big build deserves a congratulations, I think, especially when you put so much time and effort into it. So as you obviously have. how do you approach a new Armour project? Is it concept art? Is it a character that you've loved for quite a long time? Is it like, oh, you know what, I've done something like this before, so doing this again wouldn't be that hard? Like, how do you start or plan a new project?
So what I do is I find a character that I want to do, but I mainly base it off of my body physique. If my body physique can match it, majority of the form, then I'm like, okay, then I could fit that character. Because yes, like you can be whatever character you want.
Yeah.
But like both me, I like proportions, correct? And like correct proportions with it.
Yeah, same here, 100%.
Yeah, because you can see people that like for say like I'm 6'3". Like I'm a big guy, so I see some people taking small characters and making them big characters. Like, you can do whatever you want, but that's just not my forte.
Yeah,
but when I first started, I find a character that I want to do that matches my physique, especially in the genre, the whatever fandom I prefer. And if I really like that character, then I'll start building him. And when I start building him, I have the same base patterns I use for majority of my suits. I use the same base patterns for Atrocitus and for Savitar, which are plain bases. And once I have those sized correctly, I do all the strapping, I do all the cuts, so I have proper movement and everything. Once I get all that down, those steps down, that's when I start getting into the detailing, because detailing is what gives it life.
Yeah.
And like you can build plain armor all you want, look like a plain Jane, and you can walk around the con and people will be like, oh, that's cool. But if you really want a wow factor, then take the time and put in your details. But yeah, like I actually use Pepakura or Armorsmith to help size my files, because these are Pepakura files that I modify in Armorsmith to fit me properly, because they're perfect for plain bases, and they work for me at least. And if they can work for me, they can work for anyone else. And after I get all the proportions right, the scaling right, the cuts right, once I actually test fit the base armor and I know if it feels good and works, then I can start doing the patterning. I mean, not the patterning, the detailing. And that's pretty much it. And then once you start detailing, then that's getting into the finishing work and everything.
Yeah, no, I remember a distinctive decision I made a few years ago, where I went, I'm not just doing shapes and I'm not just doing colors. I want to make cosplays that people can feel just by looking at them, like textures and details and all that. Like, that needs to be something that I need to do going forward. There's no right way of cosplaying, guys. Obviously, we're just talking about it. Me and Josh are very similar. I'm 6'3". I'm over 300 pounds. I'm a big dude. And so I do the same thing where I look at body shapes. I've said this 100 times before. As much as I would love to cosplay Spider-Man, my own appreciation for the character will not let me, because of how big I am.
Oh, yeah. This is
Batman. Yeah. I mean, like, the fact that I'm doing Batman as a regular cosplay for me only exists because Ben Affleck is a bigger dude than I am. And I'm able to fill that gap, that character that precedent that he created. And so I mean, I do a lot of altering my body shape as well. You know, I've got a big stomach. The only way to offset that is to make my chest, my shoulders, and my neck bigger. And so armor is a great way of doing that. I've got my Mordred armor back here, and it was one of those things where, like, I needed big pauldrons and like big wide shoulders, and the body armor sits kind of ribs. It's kind of like the stormtrooper kind of upper body kind of harness looking thing. That's usually where my armor sits. But and so getting away from me.
That's okay.
How long did it take you? So you said you used Armorsmith. Now, is Is this the program? Because it's coming to mind. Is this a program where you have like you can fill in a 3D model of a human body, put in your dimensions, and then you can take a file and kind of scale it around like a version of your head? Is that this
Yes.
program?
Yeah. So yeah, that's what exactly. So Armour
Okay.
Smith is well. I'm actually good friends with the developer of them. He's
Oh,
actually
cool.
he's from Vancouver actually.
Oh, no way.
Hey, Canada. It's very cool. His name is Randy Cavanaugh. He's very cool.
Sweet.
I met him at New York Comic Con officially a
Hmm.
couple of times, but we've always spoken online before that. Um, but yeah, Armour Smith is basically like Pepakura,
Hmm.
but more advanced or slash universal. So with
Mm.
Pepakura, if you're going to scale something, you can type into 1 unit of measurement.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what axis, but it'll alter the whole entire thing uniformly. Um, but in Armour Smith, you can have a 3D avatar of yourself using your real time dimensions. You can import models, you can import Pepakura files, scale them
Mm.
properly. And also, good thing about it is that you can do it either uniformly like Pepakura, or you can do it non-uniformly, so you can actually change whatever axis freely
Oh.
and more customized or more detailed fit.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah,
Is that how you figured out your base layer? Because I always tell people that finding those basic shapes that you can just use for everything is fantastic, and it's
yeah,
usually where I bring in Evil Ted. Evil Ted has a fantastic base helmet, a fantastic shoulder arm. But the his Vampire D body armor is a perfect foundation layer, and so
oh
when
yeah,
I got that, that allowed me to take, because I didn't have to figure that out for myself. I downloaded it from Evil Ted. I was able to springboard off of that. You said that you kind of made your own. Is that a file that you found and then you went into Armour Smith, or did you like did you do the painter's tape saran wrap method of figuring
yeah.
that out?
So when it comes to the base layers of my armor, or
Yeah.
majority of it, like the midsection and my forearm armor are free-handed. So there's no patterns for that.
Okay.
But for everything else, for the chest, back, shoulders, biceps, thighs, shins, whatever, and also my shoes are also free-handed. Um, yeah, those are already pre-made files I got from Etsy. They're
Yeah.
actually like I actually found random files and made an amalgamation that works well for me. So like the chest, the back, the chest and the back are actually patterns from a Super Saiyan muscle suit
Ah.
pattern.
Okay. Okay.
Because it's very like proportion to the human body because it's based off of muscles.
Sure.
So that fits well. The thighs are actually they're very plain, but they're actually from a custom pattern commission that I commissioned someone years ago
Hmm.
for Voltron Paladin.
Okay.
So their thigh armor is very plain.
Yeah.
So I use that as the base layer of my thigh armor.
Hmm.
The shin armor is actually the base for that is actually it's for the Iron Man Extremis armor.
Oh. Okay.
Reason why I picked that one is because the calves are very defined, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
and,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
yeah. So you can see that it has decent sized calves. You can actually see the calves because usually with armor, not a lot of armor has calves.
No. Yeah.
So especially if I'm going to try to do like I want to try to give the illusion that the armor is form fitted to my body.
Yeah.
So you can see you can actually see the calf muscle underneath like through the arm or whatever. Um, and then the shoulders are actually from the Batfleck Batmech armor from Dawn of Justice.
Oh, like the kryptonite battle armor type
Yeah,
deal?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are the plain shoulders. And then once I put everything together, I did all the cuts for when I do because when you do base layers for anything for armor, you also have to check on your movement as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because if you don't have movement, then you're not going to be going anywhere. You're not going to be comfortable. So I basically when I do my fittings, I do high knees because if I can do high knees, then that means I can do steps if I need to do steps.
Yep. Yep.
Especially at cons.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, those are basically like my patterns, and also the biceps were also from the same muscle, saying patterns. But yeah, other than that, it's basically it's simple. Like when you first start, it's not gonna look simple, but when you get into it more and then you learn, it becomes simple. Like anything else in life.
Yeah, well, and that's the great thing about creating these base shapes that you're going to use for whatever, like for repeated projects. Is now, I mean, I still have the pattern. I took Evil Ted's Vampire D, and I figured out some pieces where I went, okay, I don't really need, like, for example, the pectorals. I don't need them to pop out. Like, I don't need boobs, you know. So I
Oh
just do
yeah,
the flat, and so now I have that flat harness piece that I used the rib and one of the ab pieces, and I built this shape, and now I got it.
yeah.
But now I can just go and work with it, and I can pull this thing together in 30 minutes and have a
Oh yeah.
fully working chess piece, which is the fantastic thing about patterns, B, working with patterns, and C, using those base layers. Like you said, is you start to get to know them. You know what fits, and next time you go, I can't. My arms, I can't pull my arms across. I kind of want to do that. Okay, well, we'll take it in by a centimeter on either
Yep.
side. So yeah, so that's one way to do it for sure, is getting the Etsy thing. Buying. Sorry, I'm back up here. Buying templates off of Etsy, buying templates off of guys like Evil Ted. I think even SKS Props. I think he's got some sort of body armor.
Yeah, he has some templates for
Yeah.
helmets, armor. Same thing. A lot of makers do have them out there. Like it's not only just one.
No,
There's
no.
there's a lot of cosplay builders, makers out there that want to share their stuff, and they do have good stuff. Like I did a commission 2 years ago for a Scarlet Scarab from Moon Knight when I was fresh, and I used I forgot her name, but she's from Germany.
Oh,
Um,
Kamui? Kamui
yeah,
cosplay?
Kamui cosplay.
Yeah, her stuff is great.
Yeah, I used her female chest armor
Hmm.
bundle pack,
Hmm.
and so I was able to find the pattern that I need for the chest armor, and then work around that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's based off of her body type and my what do you call it? My
Clients?
client. Yeah, client. There
Consumer?
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always the word. My client, of course, we all have different body structures and everything.
Yeah.
But of course, that's why there's something called fittings. So
Yeah.
I did the fitting with her and everything, and it worked out at the end.
Perfect.
Yeah. So.
Cool. Okay, so what's been your favorite armor to work on? I have an answer what my favorite of yours is, but I'll say it after. What's been your favorite to work
Um, it's hard because all of them are because I like all of them.
on? Yeah.
Like if I really had to pick one, then I would probably say my merciless armor. Reasoning why is because that was my first time. That was actually my first quote unquote pro grade costume that I've ever done. And also that one I took my time on because that one took 5 months to make.
Oh, wow.
Because that's when we were coming back from COVID and the beginning of 2021. And I took my sweet ass time with that build to make sure I have whatever details and everything I need.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my favorite build that I've done. Surely the other builds I've done are good too, but that one has a special piece in my heart.
Of course. Yeah, guys, if you don't know, the Merciless is actually the armor that's featured in the thumbnail for this video. It's a DC Dark Knight's metal villain, and Josh, you knocked that one out of the park. I was gonna say Atrocitus, just because it's so cool to see, especially because it's based off of Injustice 2, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And then I think you pulled a few things from a few different places as well. But your capture of weird organic looking armor with the latex mask and the lights, and it's just, that one to me stands out. Which again, check out his Instagram to go see these guys because they're absolutely fantastic. we're going to narrow it down a little bit more. What would you say your armor style is? And I'll give an example of what mine is. It tends to be like, for me, it's what I've been told has, like, I have a freakish workshop style. If you look at a cosplay, people go, "Oh, that's definitely freakish," and it's because I mold. I try and bring a comic book flair to very functional, realistic armor. Green Goblin is a perfect example of that, where, you know, I thought about, okay, he's in a glider, he's hunched down, he needs neck armor, you know, so I'm going to build up the collar a little bit more, and he needs, you know, the moving shoulders, so the shoulders are going to be loose, they're not actually going to be sitting down. The body armor looks very realistic. Batman, same thing. I'm trying to make it look very kind of realistic. We're very different in our armor styles, but what would you say your armor style is? Is it functional? Is it utilitarian? Is it aesthetic? What do you think?
Well, for my armor style, well, I like to go gritty with it. I like to basically say, like, my armor style is basically taking DC Comics and bringing it to the reality, because DC Comics is very dark and gritty, bloody, grime, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
In like comparison to Marvel, which is brighter and clean, and what else you want to call it, especially nowadays.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I like to take comic book characters and basically rip them off the pages and want to see what they look like in real life. Because yes, like on paper, you can see whatever details you want to see on there, whatever it shows, but it's only 2-dimensional. I want to see what it looks like in 3-dimensional, and especially face to face. So that's why I like to put a hell of a lot of detail into my stuff, and especially with the paints and everything.
I was talking with another cosplayer, and they call it a 1-for-1, which I love, and I'm going to use that. You know, when it comes to scaling, right? 1-to-1 scaling.
Yeah,
with cosplay, they do a 1-to-1. You take something from a comic book and you directly bring it into the real world, which is fantastic. I haven't done too many of those, but even then, I pull in my own style of trying to make it look realistic. The fact that you go after a 1-for-1 is incredibly. I don't want to say challenging or difficult, because I don't want to stop people from doing it, but it definitely has its own challenges, because you are going after a look. You don't have the, again, freedom isn't the right word, but it's the only thing I can think of. You don't have the freedom of, like, well, I'll just change it because I have the ability. It's my own design. I can change the design if I want to. Like, you're going the merciless. There are multiple panels of the Merciless in comic books, and someone will look at that and go, "Yeah, that knee is completely wrong. What was he doing?" You know, where did he get that from? So,
yeah, like when it comes to, like, going back to, like, picking the character you want to do, so for Atrocitus, I based that one off of, because I love the Injustice 2 video game. So I based it off of that, especially because that one has all the turnarounds you need, and also that game is specifically fully customizable for their characters.
Oh, so right, because they have, like, multiple skins and stuff, right? Yeah,
you could do multiple skins, multiple colors, different types of armor types, whatever you want. It's highly customizable, so there's no wrong in that game when it comes to design. So basically, the aspects that I liked from Atrocitus, because there's so many different designs in that game, especially for him. I took whatever that I enjoyed, that I liked, especially the concept art that I found, or not the concept art, the actual in-game art I found from ArtStation, but it was high resolution, so I could zoom in and see the clear, the clear details for references, and I could translate that into foam. Recreate it. So yeah, like, that one is that's the reason why I picked that one. Excuse me. Savitar, Savitar, I waited 6 years to do.
Oh, really? So this one, he's been in the works for a while.
Yeah. So in Savitar, he was debuted in 2017, I believe. 2017. Yeah, 2017. He was debuted on The Flash, season 3. And if I have to be specific, then episode 7. So yeah, that's when they showed the full design of him.
Yeah.
And I literally got up from my couch, stood up, and pointed at the TV. I'm like, "That's mine.
That one.
That's mine. I'm gonna make that someday." And then eventually I found the company that made him, which was Legacy Effects. They also worked on all the Iron Man suits in Pacific Rim and everything.
Yeah.
They're great. But yeah, and also on their website, they actually have a portfolio of all their past productions. And so they actually showed behind the scenes work of Savitar.
Nice.
And that also showed the sculpt, the full body sculpt that they're building, that they made, which also showed the side profile and especially the back profile. So I really got to see the full back, because in the show you could hardly even see it.
Yeah, I think the only time I can think of where he shows his back is maybe running, but then he's like twisting. And then there's the one scene where, spoilers, the evil Barry comes out of the back, so like it's already changing, and
that's and also when he grabs Wally and pins him against the wall, because then they do a very slight back shot. But
okay, yeah.
But yeah, after I saw the behind the scenes pictures, and also I have behind the scenes video, just for reference material, I'm like, okay, that's a good baseline to start. And also their version of it was a muscle suit base with armor on top of it. That's what they did, so they had the full flexibility for whatever they needed to do. And also, clearly, the armor was molded and then casted out of urethane rubber, so that he has full mobility that he needs.
Yeah, it was a hero suit, right? I don't think they ever had the.
They only had one suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the lights were underneath the suit, like the actual skin of the suit. So the muscles were also the lights as well, so it protrudes through.
That's cool.
So I basically took 6 years to figure out how to do that my way, and also without a studio budget. And, yeah. And I'm happy to say I finally did it. It took a while, and like sometimes when you have a problem, there's like a problem you're trying to solve, but you can't figure it out. But then this happens to me a lot. I'm in the car driving, and then you're driving, and all of a sudden I'm like, shit, I just could have done that way. Because when I did Savitar before that, I did a commission which was a Black Goku scythe, and that was also a light up scythe. And I used a material called Plastizote foam, which I'm sure you've heard of.
Heard of it? Yeah. I haven't had the luck to use it yet, but
it's called for those that don't know what it is, it's basically foam that is basically lets light go through it. So you can put the foam over an LED, and then you can see the LED light going through it. It also helps diffuse light as well, so it's not like pinpointy. But yeah, I was like, how the hell am I gonna skin the lights so they don't see the lights in general, the strips? And I'm like, hey idiot, just use the foam that you used earlier. I'm like, okay. So I went that route, and it turned out well. I was happy with it. But yeah, like you said earlier, I'm gonna do my upgrades on it eventually. So.
And hey, some of the best costumes sometimes need upgrades. Like I'm working on a secret project right now, which I'm not gonna, go too deep into. But I'm already going, okay, I like how detachable does this piece need to be, because I want to go in later and put lights, or I want to put a smoke machine, or that kind of thing. So I am thinking about it. Even though the costume without these things is going to be fantastic. Upgrades are definitely a thing. It's not bad to go back. It's another thing when I talk about templates. The best thing about templates is you can go back in and just remake it exactly how you made it. The angles of your knife might be a little bit different, but ultimately, if you've got the pattern, and most of the templates that I use, I put up on YouTube for tutorials and on my Etsy, so I can just watch the tutorials again if I forget how to make it. But yeah, okay, cool. So Merciless, Atrocitus, and Light Bulb moments. And then we kind of talked about your armor style as 1-for-1, and I totally agree. And you're a master at that for sure. Like I
appreciate that.
It's fantastic. It's one of those, like, I am sure that photos don't do the justice, and the photos that you post to your stuff is jaw dropping. It looks your stuff looks fantastic. So one of the big things, we can talk about foam, we can talk about building armor all we want, and aesthetics, and one for one scales and scaling. The biggest thing that I had to learn was anchoring and kind of reinforcing or strapping, sorry, for armor. Again, my style has it built in where I'm going for a certain look. So I look at modern armor, I look at historic armor. Where did the buckles go traditionally? Where do they go now? Is it Velcro? Is it buckles? What kind of straps is it? And I try and stick to that ethos, and it's worked well for me. But I don't even see, like, your stuff is so good that I don't see straps. And so how do you approach it? Do you have a one method that you kind of go, I know that this anchoring works, I'm just going to go with it? What's your kind of approach to that?
Yeah, so basically I stick to one premise with my stuff. Every armor that I build for myself or for other people, I use the same exact strapping system because I know it works. Yeah. Especially for me, at least. So basically, with my strapping system, depending on how big the pieces are as well, I'll start out with like the upper body. So the upper body, I'm just going to
interrupt real quick. Sorry, I totally forgot this. Guys, what we're talking about is how the armor pieces are going to sit and how they're like held together on the body. That's what we're talking about with anchoring. I just realized I never actually described what we're talking about. This is the like minds. The armor builders are going armor building right now. So we're diving into it. Sorry, continue. I just needed to put that out there.
No, that's all good. And also for those who are watching till this point, thank you.
Yes, and, thank you very much.
and also I also have a slight cold, so if I sound weird, that's fine. And also
can't tell. You're doing great. You're doing great.
And if you see me putting something towards my nose, it's just a Vicks nose inhaler, so don't worry about that. I'm not doing anything illegal. Anyway, anyway, going back to strapping. So the strapping system I do, people like to call it the Stormtrooper method.
Stormtrooper method, okay.
Yeah. So basically, the starts out with With all strapping, I start with the midsection because the strapping has to go over your shoulders because so the midsection doesn't slide down because it slides down, then the thighs slide down, and then you're gonna be it's gonna look like you're crip walking.
Yeah.
So as long as you have the proper height and stable, then everything else will be okay. And then after that, I do the chest. The chest has a one-sided Velcro enclosure on the sides, so I do it that way. So when my arm is down, it covers it. And then for the shoulder pieces, like I know, Savitar and Merciless have three buckles and piece of elastic, and Atrocitus only has two. But I have a strap here, in the back here, and then on the top right here.
Okay.
And so it's the elastic that has the attaching piece of the clip, and then I permanently glue the other side of the clip inside of the shoulder, and then I just line it up correctly, glue it in place, and then so when I clip it, it stays. But also when I have to move my arm around, it'll move with me, but it'll go back to the original position.
And you're saying elastic strap, yeah? Like I use for a lot of things, I'll try and use this dollar store stuff. It's got built-in Velcro, but I also have I buy rolls of it, and then I'll go with that. So you use elastic strap because I'm both using elastic and nylon strapping as well, depending on what I want flexible and what I don't want flexible.
Yeah, exactly. I do the same thing.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, like for the shoulders, I use elastic, so there's flexibility for when I move my arm, and it'll snap back into place once I put my arm down. Voice crack is weird. So the thigh armor, I would actually have like I'm gonna just stand up for a minute.
Yeah.
So basically, this is your waist, and then I have from the waist, I have a piece of elastic with the clip dangling from right here, and then the thigh armor. So specifically for Atrocitus and Savitar, I have the top of the thigh overlapping with the midsection because with the midsection sides for the legs, I cut it differently compared to Merciless. so so it have more of an organic look.
Yeah.
So the midsection basically goes up here, wrapped around, and then towards the crotch area, and then so the thigh piece sits up. The top of it sits high, so when I'm just standing, it covers that gap.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I move my leg up, it'll move with it. It'll just shift up slightly, and then it'll go back to the original position. I only use one strap for my thighs, and it works. But so it doesn't fall, because if you don't have anything supporting, if it falls, then it's gonna kink in the armpit of your leg, in the back of your leg, and then you're not gonna be able to walk.
That's definitely a problem that I've had. Where like Goblin's probably my most recent build with thigh armor, and I had it connected to like an airsoft belt, and then it was hooked up there, and then I also had like leg straps because I was trying to make it look like actual like armor, right? And the straps, because they were elastic, they just fell into behind the knee, which was really frustrating. I was like pulling it up all the time. Which, it is what it is. There's always going to be downsides because it's not real armor, and it's not, we're not using, polycarbonate stuff and whatever. So the Stormtrooper method you were saying over the shoulders, that's like the kind of like overall thing, right? That they've got going on, where their abdomen has the straps that go up, and then the chest goes on top of it. Yeah,
I'm basically just I'm just basically making homemade overall straps.
Okay, cool.
That's basically it. So once everything is on, it should technically be seamless. And then once it looks good and you're ready for the next step, then you can go into to details. Because my methodology of it is that once it fits and then you have the proper mobility, that's going to be the same no matter how much detail you put into it, as long as it doesn't the detail doesn't bulk it out even more, that distorts the shape.
That's it's one of the reasons I always look at, like, they're amazing costumes. I look at BlizzCon and I look at Blizzard designs and I go, that is so unfunctional. Like those shoulders, and like I'm a big Warhammer 40K guy. The proportions on those things are ridiculous as well. But I always go and I just go, as much as I would love to make a Space Marine or like some Warcraft character, those shoulders are just, I can't imagine having to deal with those shoulder pads.
I know,
they're so big. The anchoring on them alone would cost like $100 to make sure they don't move. Like it's so but again, it's the design look, right? The armor, like those armor designs are aesthetic. They're not function. They're aesthetic.
Like in the universe, it is functional. Like for example, Warhammer 40K, the soldiers are genetically modified to become that, so it's functional for them. But for us, normal sized people, somewhat, it's not. So then we have to rely on stilts or platforms, and then hand its arm extensions and everything to get the proportions right. It's not practical. No, it's not at all. But it looks good aesthetically. But at the same time, just make sure you don't trip over any children.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my goodness. I'm like, my next big cosplay, and I'm talking big, right? I'm 8 foot tall. I'm wearing stilts that are not human like shaped, and I'll probably have my wife helping me, and like I may need other people just because I'm going to be so big, or I'm just not going to be able to move. Like it's one of those, like Goblin at Toronto Comic-Con last year. A lot of people stayed out of my way just because I was purple and green, so I kind of stuck out. You've got lights and smoke, and you're big. I love the videos that come out of you, or the photos that come out of you as well, where just like everyone's just got like a 10-foot perimeter around you. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure those are also staged. I'm sure you like ask people like, can you move back for a second? But at the same time, when you've got an awesome cosplay like that, you do kind of get a bubble around you, which is kind of cool.
Some of those weren't staged. Those are actually like real shots, real
awesome
shots. Like when you're in costume, people kind of give you respect. That's why I say kinda, because not all do. But like I remember in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
when New York Comic Con finally came back from COVID. This is a funny story. So back in 2019, I was in extra with a couple of friends from my team
Mm-hmm.
for a low budget indie film called Lost Cause. Basically revolves around it's like a thriller drama movie revolved around the cosplay community, and
Oh, now I get it. Yeah. Okay. Lost
yeah,
cause. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, Lost Cause. and then in 2021 2022 they finally released it, but in 2021 they had a booth at New York Comic Con to help promote it before it got released. And I'm like, I want to go see the booth, say hi, whatever. I go up. Our booth at the time was in the lower level, first year doing it. I go to the set to the third floor. So that's where the main vendor hall is. That's where all the booths are. And so I'm like, okay, let me make my way through. It took me 2 hours to get to their booth because
Yeah.
I'm getting stopped. I'm basically just turning around everywhere I go nonstop and whatever. I'm like, it's what we do. It's what we signed up for. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But by the time I got to their booth, I said my highs and goodbyes, pictures, whatever. But by the time I turned around, there was a crowd formed behind me that wanted pictures, and I'm like, oh God. I'm like, where did this come from? They're like, no, take your time. Take your time. I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that. And also, right next to the booth is the Dragon Ball Z booth, and they're actually leaking into the Dragon Ball Z booth. And
Oh
I'm like,
no.
I should get out of here because I don't want to get yelled at by the staff. I'll see you later. And I started moving until I got to a freer area. And then they started taking more pictures. But yeah, I was just like, wow, I actually intruded traffic at a con. I'm like, that's cool, but I wasn't used to that. I'm like, oh,
That's
wow.
what. Yeah, I had the same story last year, Toronto Comic Con, or Toronto Fan Expo. Sorry, and it took me an hour to get. The first time I went through, it took me about 20 minutes because of all the lines. But then I was wearing Goblin, and it was busier. It was a Saturday, which is obviously the very busy day. And so, well, for most cons, I should say. And so there was a Sony Spider-Man 2 booth for the new Spider-Man game, and they had Peter and Miles Morales statues, and you could stand in the middle, and Venom, was in the background, with his face looking out and all. And I was like, oh, perfect! This is so good, So I when I finally get down there, it was an hour to get there. And I was taking photos, and people were like, the staff at the photo booth were taking photos of me and with me on the way. And I was like, oh, this is great. I love this. This is fantastic. By the way, guys, you're allowed to enjoy people taking photos of you and having a crowd around you. Like, it's part of what you sign up for as well. The people stopping you and everything. It's kind of part of it. Anyway, so I was in the booth. I was taking photos, and you're only allowed like one or two, which is fine. Yeah. But I could see out of the corner of my eye that the exit was beginning to group, and there was people waiting for me to get out. And then I had a few people come into the Spider-Man booth to take photos of me with Spider-Man. And I was like, no, like, you have to get in line for this. Like, I'm getting out of the line. I don't want to take it up. And so I had to, like, inch by inch get out of the Spider-Man booth, and then there was a bunch of people, and we blocked the exit for like a few minutes, and eventually my wife was like, we gotta go. I was like, I gotta go, bye, I'm sorry, and then shuffle away. And that was fantastic.
Yeah, like when something like I learned something like when those types of things happen, when you want to tell them that you have to go somewhere but don't want to sound like a dick, just take your helmet off and walk. Because that's basically incompleting the look, and you can't take a picture without that piece. So just walk your merry way. Walk your merry way. And I'm like, okay, people are not going to mess around with me now since I'm not fully prepared.
My excuse is the bathroom. I'm sorry, I really have to go to the bathroom. And people are like, oh, okay, yeah. I'm like, yeah, get out of the way, man.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm like, I have somewhere to go. I have a contest to go.
I have a contest. Yeah, I mean, contests are a big part for you too, which is really cool. And I'm spoilers alert. Hopefully spoiler alert for those of you guys who are watching. I'm trying to get. I'm going to try and get a Vera cosplay on the contest side of things because she's fantastic. Again, I think I met her for the first time when we did that we both did, build group, which is really cool. But anyway, so kind of getting back to the foam crafting side of things, what kind of foam do you usually use for armor builds? Because I know I tend to try and use 5 to 7 for my base layers, 5 to kind of build things up. If I really need to build things up, I'll go bigger. I've got these like massive, let's see if I can find a smaller piece. Oh yeah, here we go. Like the massive like Home Depot floor mats that are like almost an inch thick. To build some stuff up, and then I'll use 1 millimeter for detail work. I'll try and keep 1 millimeter to the detail. Are you similar, or do you? I know you said you use that kind of transparent, or not transparent, but opaque foam for the first time for the commission. What kind of foam do you tend to use for armor cosplays?
So back then when I first started doing armor, I used the puzzle piece format foam from Harbor Freight. That's when I first started doing it. But then when the EVA foam cosplay line came out from other people, I started to ease my way into that because I'm like, if I'm gonna make myself something or do commissions, I want to show nothing but top quality stuff.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, I'll get. I started doing SKS props when they were the only one at the time when they first came out.
Yeah, he was a progenitor for a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then he partnered up with Blick for the distribution and everything. So I started using his, and then when COVID happened, a buddy of mine in Manhattan. I only live like an hour away from Manhattan. I'm in Jersey, so it's not that far. But my friend of mine, he created his own EVA foam company called Masked Dad Workshop.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Tim Tanko and Levi James. They're both good friends of mine, especially at cons and everything. They're cool dudes. So yeah, they developed their own foam company. They partnered with a company to develop their formula and everything. And no shame to SKS, but I want to support a small business, and their foam is phenomenal. Like Masked Dad's, their sands well, it forms well, it does everything perfectly. So I use their foam, but for when it comes to building, I like to make my stuff last. And as big guys, we tend to put a lot of strain to our stuff.
Yeah.
So the base layer I tend to use 8mm up to 10mm.
Okay.
For the thickest part, because the base is the base. That's going to be the structure behind everything, and it has to be sturdy. So once I did that, for detail wise, I've also used 8mm for detailing. I use 6mm, 5mm, 4, 3, 2, all the way down to 1. I used everything. For example, for Atrocitus, for his armor plating, especially on his back, he has a lot of back plating. For the organic look, I did 8mm as the base, and then I did 4mm on top to give it that layered look, but not make it too bulky.
Sure.
Well, actually, no. I used 6mm and then 4mm on top. There you go. And it worked perfectly.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, it looks great. It's fantastic.
That
guys,
one took a month.
That one took a month. Well, while I appreciate the results that stress can have, I hope you don't have to do that again.
I hope not either.
Yeah. Moral of the story. Obviously, not too many people have commissions. Me and you and are one of the few people that actually make money in cosplay, which is very interesting. I feel like we need to. I feel like that's a podcast all on its own. Is grab a couple people that actually make money and just talk about it because it's a very unique aspect of cosplay. But I won't take up too much of your time, though. I appreciate it. This has been fantastic. I hope you guys watching have learned a little bit something about Armour. I'm going to say this for myself. I'm sure Josh also agrees with me. If you have any questions about Armour cosplay, please reach out to us either in the comments here on YouTube or on our individual Instagrams. I'm primarily on Instagram. I've got my Etsy. I've got my YouTube. Josh, is there anywhere else other than Instagram that we can find your work?
Yeah, like I'm primarily on Instagram, but you can also find me on my Facebook artist page at CJ Prop Studio. I also have a Twitter, or X. I'm never gonna call that just Twitter.
Yeah.
I do have a Twitter page at CJ Prop Studio there too, but I'm not as frequently on there.
Okay.
I keep that open as an option. But yeah, but overall, Instagram is my main source of contact.
Cool. And do you have a Patreon? Other than commissions, is there any other way that people can support your work at all?
I don't have a Patreon, but I do have a coffee page, or
Ko-fi, whatever that one is,
whatever it's called. Yeah. So if it's in my link tree on my Instagram. So
cool. If
you guys ever want to help support my future projects and be a part of it, feel free to make a donation, and I'll definitely shout you out saying thank you, and then where that money is going towards, you'll see the results. So.
Absolutely. Your progress photos are another really cool aspect of, like, your quality is so high up, and there's some cosplayers that for sure they've gotten to that skill level, and you don't get to see the in between shots. You know, the whip posts. You don't get to see that, which I really appreciate that you do. So, guys, I'm going to have the link down below for his link tree, so you can access all that kind of stuff, as well as my own Instagram. Thank you again very much, CJ Prop Studio, for joining us for an Armour cosplay chat. It's been fantastic. And yeah, is there anything else you want to bring up or anything?
Well, no, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, as always. It's always a pleasure talking to you, because
of course,
I think after that one live stream we did, I think we became very good friends after it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then once I'm in Canada, one day if I ever come to Canada, I'll let you know.
Hell yeah, man! That'd be so cool. That'd be so cool.
But yeah, so yeah, if follow me on Instagram, but also check out my groups page at Paladins of Cosplay.
Paladins, okay. Is that in your link tree?
Yes, it's also
okay. Cool.
It's also in my link tree, I believe.
Perfect.
Or it's on the description of my Instagram. It says member of Paladin, so you can click on the Paladin name. Yeah,
I'll make sure that they end up in the description as well. So
yeah. But yeah, definitely check out the group. We support the community, help the community, and also we try to do full-on group cosplays. That's also how Merciless came to be. We did a group cosplay
yeah.
And we only did it for a photo shoot, and we blew up the internet after that.
Yeah, you did. I remember it was quite a while before I wasn't seeing you on the search page, which was awesome. It was so cool to see.
Yeah. But other than that, it's always a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Of course. Guys, you know I very rarely figure out how to close these things, so I'm just going to stop recording now. I'll see you guys next episode. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more cosplay content.